Hello everyone, Namaste. Myself Vishakha, and we are here with another amazing and informative session with Dr. Mollika Ganguly. She is a yoga and lifestyle consultant. She has done masters in yoga therapy and a PhD scholar from Esrasa University. She is also a former yoga consultant with Sri Aurobindo Society and also a former yoga teacher with Inventure Academy International School. And yes, also the founder of Sambhav Yoga. So we welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of OYG. Thanks for coming here. And yes, you can start with
Thank
your
you so
session.
much for having me. So the topic that we had in mind for today's session was how to move from habits to conscious living. So let us take the research approach and first try to identify the problem with habits. It is difficult to get out of harmful ones, and it is even more difficult to create good ones. Sometimes we are successful in starting a good habit and we eventually fall out of it. Sometimes our good habits become like a golden cage, habits that were necessary some time back for a good reason though, and now we need to transcend, but it's difficult to break the pattern. The answers to all these is a conscious living approach. Now, does that mean habits are useless? No, it's not. It's actually quite useful in the beginning. To form a conducive environment, to basically have a supportive environment to start any motivative venture or a routine. But the mistake we all do here is that we forget that it's a continuous process. When we create a habit and forget the rationale behind it, the reason why we started this habit in the first place, and we start doing it in an automatic manner, that is where the difficulty begins. Let us take a simple example like food. We all know, at least students in yoga know, that we must eat only when we are hungry. But are we that aware? Are we aware the whole day? Do we know what's real hunger and what's pseudo hunger? If we think about Maggie or pizza and we feel hungry, that's not real hunger. When it's real hunger, when it's the hunger of the body, you will eat anything that's available on your plate. You will not have preferences. But when it's pseudo hunger, you might have eaten 15 minutes before and you will still feel hungry. That's the hunger of the mind. So our awareness levels are not so good. Hence, we eat according to the clock. 8 o'clock is breakfast, 12 o'clock is lunch, 9 o'clock dinner. And that's why you will notice that 80% of people have digestive disorders. Take another example, waking up early in the morning. So if I hear from my friends and mentors that if you wake up in the morning, early morning, you will have so much time to exercise, to meditate, or to start your habits or hobbies that you've left long back, say writing a poem, or say novels or articles. I deep down feel that it's very useful, but the collective consciousness tells me that getting up early in the morning is very difficult. So now what I do is I try to give myself these reasons, this right rationale to start a new habit. I eventually succeed. I start waking up in the morning. I feel really good about it. I talk to my friends about it. Eventually, I continue doing it for, say, days, weeks, and then slowly forget the reason why I was doing it. So then, slowly, my vocabulary changes, and then does my attitude. From knowing that I wanted to wake up in the morning, the vocabulary changes to I have to wake up in the morning. I have to exercise, or I have to eat salads, or I have to meditate. Weren't these things very helpful? Weren't these things you were motivated to do in the beginning? Then how did this shift happen? You forgot the reason behind it. You forgot to positively motivate yourself every day. You forgot that it was a continuous process. You made it a habit. Like Sadhguru says, a habit, whether good or bad, is never helpful. Habit means that it's an unconscious process. So to know that you consciously do it, to know that you're doing it because it's good for you or you're progressing every day, noticing the progress every day, that is very, very important. Now, we are all human beings and our minds are much evolved compared to other species. We can think beyond survival. So let's bring in yoga here. Ashtanga yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga given by Patanjali. I think these are the best tools to start healthy habits and to get freedom from the harmful ones. Ashtanga yoga starts with yamas and niyamas, not the workout of the body, the workout of the mind. How to train your mind to consciously live, not to live out of habits. So, yamas. What are yamas? Yamas basically help us to identify and transcend from our lower instincts, from the animal instincts, let's say. Ahimsa, non-violence, not only non-violence in the physical level, non-violence in the mind. So let's take an example of a lion. If a lion kills a deer, it's not killing the deer because it's angry at the deer. It's killing the deer because that's its nature. It only wants to feed itself. After it's done, it's not cribbing about it the whole day. So there's no violence in the mind. But what about human beings? We have trained ourselves to suppress and to show what's not there in our mind or to project something else rather than what's actually going on in our mind. If I'm angry at my boss, instead of having a decent conversation or trying to positively let it out, I will do all the violence in the mind because if I react, I might have repercussions. I might get fired. So I would rather punch my boss in my mind. And we think that it's not visible to people, so it has no repercussions. It has no repercussions on others. It does have a very strong repercussion on our mind and eventually on our body. Most of you are yoga teachers, so you all would know that 80% to 90% of the diseases and disorders are psychosomatic. It evolves in the mind and gradually manifests in the body. So, non violence, not only in the physical level, also in the level of the mind. Next is Satya and Asteya, truthfulness and non stealing. So, let me give you an example which will explain both. So there is technical and there is moral meaning to it. We all conveniently switch. So my guru gave a very good example. He said that suppose you are three friends in a class, very good in studies, and you're constantly competing for the first position. Now, there is one day that one of you is absent in school. Two of them are present. The teacher announces that there's a test next day, and these are the 10 important questions. There are two thoughts that can come to your mind. And depending on your level of awareness, you will choose which one to go with. The first one would be the lower instinct that it's not your responsibility to go and inform your friend. It's the teacher did not ask you specifically that you should go home, call your friend, and inform these important questions. So technically, I don't have to inform my friend. I will have a better chance to compete and get the first position. The second thought would be the moral responsibility. You know very well that if you want it to be a fair competition, you must not steal the right of the other person, of your friend, to have this as a fair competition. You must inform your friend. So, truthfulness and non stealing also on the level of the mind. Next, brahmacharya, the most misunderstood concept. What is brahmacharya? We always have this one thought associated to brahmacharya is to not have any sexual desires or to talk about it or express it. You must have seen a lot of people suppressing it without knowing the actual meaning of brahmacharya. Brahmacharya, Brahma and Charya. Brahma means the ultimate or let's say divine. Charya means the path or the path you're walking on. Someone walking on the path of the divine to the divine is a brahmachari. I believe all of us fundamentally are brahmacharis. We are just not aware. We all are seeking joyfulness, right? All of us. But while walking on the path of joyfulness, since we do not follow it with the most disciplined manner, we settle down for pleasures. Pleasures are nothing but small, small shadows of joyfulness, but they also come with a catch. They come with deep rooted attachment. Pleasures are obtained only through somebody or something. We get attached to it and there is bondage. Human mind doesn't like bondage, so we are constantly fighting with it, but we don't want to let go of it. Who is a brahmachari? A brahmachari is someone who would not suppress his desires, would consciously deny these mere small pleasures and will walk on the path to reach that ultimate joyfulness. That's a brahmachari. So I hope that's clear with this small explanation. Next is aparigraha, non-accumulation or not having the fear or insecurities of death. So again, yamas are basically tools to help us transcend beyond our lower instincts or our animal instincts. Now, what are niyamas? Niyamas are tools to create a conducive environment for us to start new habits or good habits. What are niyamas? Shaucha. Shaucha is cleanliness. So we all think cleaning our house when people come home is cleanliness. We keep so much awareness of our space, how it looks when we meet people, because it's visible. But what about the mind? So let me give you another example. When I went to Bihar School of Yoga, I was only 19. And frankly, I had not done any chores in my house. And I'm not proud of it, but that was how we were brought up. We had help for everything. We didn't need that help. We just had it. So when I went to Bihar School of Yoga, I saw their common toilets and they were so clean, cleaner than my own house. I thought that, someone can sit here and have their lunch. It's that clean. And I thought in my mind, okay, maybe their housekeeping is very good. And then eventually I got to know that it's clean because the participants of the course will have to clean it as Karma Yoga. I was petrified. I did not want to be a part of it. And I can't say it out loud because it's embarrassing. So I just kept selfishly praying that God, I don't want this duty. Give me anything else other than toilet cleaning. And I got some paperwork duty in the office, and I was like so happy. I told all my friends, you guys will be cleaning and mopping and doing toilets, and I will be sitting in this clean place. A good thing happened to me. It did not feel good then, it was very embarrassing. But one of my friends in the course, very decently, she was not from India, she asked me, so how come you don't like toilet cleaning or you hate it, or who has been cleaning your toilets all this while? And I was like, we have help. So she said, what do you mean by help? So we have maids, they clean it for us. So she said, so you mean underprivileged people and you pay money to them to clean your shit? I was taken aback, absolutely embarrassed, and had to say yes because that was the truth. I decided that day, I'm sure to evolve. So I have to make this change. I have to learn how to clean toilets and have to stop hating it. So I went to my supervisor. I said, can I get the toilet cleaning duty? And they considered it. But when I actually stood in front of the toilet, I was like, okay, this is a very bad idea. Maybe heat of the moment. It's not great. I need to go. But there was no going back. Bihar School of Yoga, the disciplines are pretty good. I just went inside thinking I'm going to do it in 2 minutes. I closed my eyes, cleaned the toilet with my eyes closed, and came out. I saw the supervisor coming with 6 tools. And I was like, what are these? The supervisor said, these are the tools you will need to clean the toilet. Like, what? There was a brush to clean the toilet pot. There was another brush to clean the tank, another equipment to clean the tiles and the space between the tiles on the floor and the walls. There was another thing with which we would clean the bucket, the small mug, the door latch, and then another wipe to dry wipe the entire place. I was like, I was getting orientation in how to clean a toilet. I took it positively. Well, I can say it now. I don't know what was going on in my mind then. I knew I cannot quit, so I just had to do it. I got inside. I had 1 hour, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock in Bihar School of Yoga, whether you're the director of the place or a student in a small course, everyone engages in cleaning the entire ashram. They don't have any housekeeping. I got inside and in 1 hour I cleaned 3 toilets, so spending around roughly 20 minutes in each cabinet. I did all the asanas I could to move and go to each corners of the toilet. I did it like I was a soldier. Like I have to kill all the germs and make it so clean the way I found it the first day. When I came outside, I wanted to scream and tell people how happy I was feeling, how powerful I was feeling after cleaning a toilet. But I didn't know how to express it. I thought nobody would get it. So I literally stood on that long queue to make a trunk call to my parents, because in Bihar School of Yoga you're not allowed gadgets. So I just called them up. I had very little time because there's a huge line. I told them, you know what, I can clean toilets. So, do you understand? I can do anything if I can clean toilets. They didn't get it, but they said, congratulations, looks like something is working for you. Now, why am I saying I spent 20 minutes in one cabinet and how they use karma yoga to teach you that once you start cleaning outside or start the outside to inside approach, for example, asanas and meditation, all of you have tried meditation, you all would know that meditation is much more difficult than doing asanas, because body is tangible, movements are tangible, you can control it much easier compared to the mind. So when I was cleaning those toilets, I had no thoughts in my mind other than making it very, very clean. So I had what is called, I was doing dharana. I wasn't aware of it. I didn't do it consciously in the beginning, but I understood that that's what I was doing for 1 hour. If you make me sit in a position and ask me to do that, I think that would be very difficult. So that's how Karma Yoga helped me to understand what is Shaucha, both physically and mentally. Next, Santosha, doing everything with the feeling of contentment. Because I have seen a lot of people, they are achievers, go getters. But even when they achieve it and in the best possible way, they are not satisfied. They can't stay with that achievement even for a few seconds, the next moment. So basically, there is always a conflict in the mind to want some more or to not be happy with what you have. So I'm not saying that that will make you a lousy person. Definitely not. But whatever you do next, you will do it with a lot of contentment. So that is shaucha, tapas, being disciplined, being regular, be doing your hard work in the most disciplined way is tapas. Swadhyaya, doing your self study. There is one kind of study that I have done for so many years of my life, which is acquired. Someone's teaching, I'm learning, and I'm trying to understand their perspective. Swadhyaya is to take that. It's not that that's not important, but to take that and to sink yourself into that knowledge, apply it, and create it, give it the value when you understand it yourself. That is called Swadhyaya. And the last, the most important one, Ishwara Pranidhana. Basically, after you have done all this, we tend to get attached to the result. Either I'm going to get it definitely, or I don't think I'm going to make it. So basically, detaching yourself from the result and surrendering yourself to whoever you think is the higher truth. You don't have to have a god or name it. Whoever you think is the supreme or the ultimate, to basically surrendering yourself to the supreme. So these are yamas and niyamas, exercises for the mind. There is, like you might ask, how many times or for how long do we have to do this? For as long as you want to live a conscious life, you have to do all these things. Yes, when you do it in the beginning, it takes some effort. And when you constantly do it, all of you would know anything that you do constantly in regular intervals with a lot of dedication and discipline, it becomes your second nature. So it does not become very difficult later. So again, niyamas are tools to create that conducive environment towards conscious living. Asanas. Asanas are the process to free your body from the acquired rigidities and discomforts. Acquired, meaning when we were born, were we so rigid? We could do. I think all of us could do a full split, not because it's a stunt, but because our bodies were not that rigid at that time. And same with our mind. Our mind would not tell us that there's an imaginary mosquito biting you if you're trying to meditate. So we acquired all these discomforts in the body, in the mind. To get rid of that, that is how asanas help you. Pranayamas. Pranayamas help us to direct and channelize these life energies. Life energy means the prana. So most people think pranayamas are breathing exercises. Yes, breathing is very closely associated to prana. We can't see prana, but when you breathe and make your breathing disciplined, it has very high impact in you being able to channelize your prana in the whole body. And my favorite one, pratyahara, which I find very difficult to do. Pratyahara is simply stepping back consciously using the power of your intellect in situations where you're acting, responding, reacting, nothing is going to work. But it is a common tendency. We tend to react, we tend to respond. We feel unless we respond, there's going to be no solution. So, just like a tortoise, if it's not necessary, consciously withdrawing our senses for a while, having the capacity, the mental capacity to do that is pratyahara. So, we'll not go to dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. These are the first five. Uh, they are not steps, they are limbs. You can do it simultaneously. Yes, there is a logic to the sequence though, but again, you can do all these yamas, niyamas, asanas, pranayamas, pratyaharas. You can do all these simultaneously. So, don't you think we are very lucky to have this already? We don't have to yet go and discover how to live a conscious life. Our scriptures are so comprehensive, especially our yogic texts. So Patanjali Yoga Sutra, if you've studied it or you've heard about it, they are not. This is not philosophy. These are like formulas, like equations. You do this, and this is what you achieve at the end. So we have it already. So we just need to start using these tools that yoga provides us. And time and again, when our motivation goes down, when we go off track, take help of the scriptures, elevated people, friends, and get back on track. A few things that you can keep in mind about habits and then slowly moving to conscious living are: one is the outside to inside approach, meaning this generation, and I don't know if I am still this generation, but when I was teaching in school, I've heard that so not talking is like suppressing. I really want to talk. Do you have anything specific to talk? No, but I don't know what to do if I'm not talking. It would be so weird to just sit quietly. Do you want to do it sometimes? Yeah, I sometimes want to do it. Are you able to do it? No, it's very difficult. So in Bihar School of Yoga again, post 7 p.m. it was Mauna. In the beginning, I thought that they were forcing it on us. But I saw most of the people who had come there, there were people from 28 countries. They were all doing it because they were so positively motivated to learn and evolve, and they've come to a course so beautiful. That is what gave me the energy to first try to zip this. And even though your mind never allows you to do that, your mind also never says no. If you have noticed that if you want to meditate, your mind will tell you, it will never say no. It will tell you, how about you do it tomorrow? Today you're very tired. See your friends, they're enjoying and you're sitting at home thinking you will meditate and evolve. Or how about we do it in the weekends? Okay, today you missed it. It's not your problem. Why? Because the mind knows if it says no, you will retaliate and you would want to do it. So postponing is the best idea. And why does the mind do it? The mind knows if you've made your body still, if you're concentrating on your breathing, if you're aware and if you've made it slow, it will have to slow down and it does not like it. So, taking the outside to inside approach. In the beginning, if you want to start doing asanas, I still remember when I used to go for asana sessions, every day after the 10th or 15th minute, I would feel this is, I'm not meant for this. Every single part of my body is aching. I'm not coming back here. Maybe I will teach yoga philosophy. Asanas are not my thing. But since I was very positively motivated and also friends helped me a lot, I knew because my mother always told me right from our childhood that consciously try to be in company of good people, good books, because when your motivation is down, these things help as an anchor. So I remember achieving a lot in that 2 months, in those 2 months that I regularly went to the sessions, rather than the next 3 years when I did it on and off. So outside to inside approach works wonders. Starting small. Most of my people, my friends, they call me and because they're working for IT and even otherwise. Students in colleges, we tend to believe that they might have a very good lifestyle, but sadly, that's not the truth. So they want to wake up in the morning, but how they go about it is right now they are waking up at 10 a.m. and all of a sudden they want to wake up at 5. That's not possible. You might be able to do it for a day or two, and eventually you'll get frustrated. You'll feel really tired the rest of the day. You might have severe discomforts in the body, and you'll fall out of it. So Satyananda Ji, when he joined the ashram, he was quite young. He had no discipline in his life. And while other people, his guru bhais in the ashram, they used to wake up at 3, 4, 4:30. That was like absolutely impossible for him. But he thought, okay, kal se main uthunga 4 baje. And he did it for a day or two. He failed and he was struggling. As a fun activity, the other Guru Bhais, they used to lift his cot, his khatia, and put it in the middle of the road after 5. And he used to wake up with sometimes cows licking his face and with the scorching sun on his face. And he used to get irritated, but he knew that he has to get there. But how to get there? Then in the discourses he heard that gradual improvements are always better and easy to sustain. So he went and announced to his friends, you know what, I've decided. I'm going to make a drastic change in my life. I'm going to wake up at 8:45 from tomorrow. They were like, what? How is that good? How is that any better than 9? He said, no, no, it's definitely better 15 minutes than 9 a.m. He started with 15 minutes a month and eventually got to the beautiful lifestyle of the ashram. So again, start small. Company, like I mentioned, keeping good company of books, friends, elevated people, or any spiritual organization that you can resonate to, that's a beautiful idea because the kind of lifestyle that we have, it's quite sedentary. Consciously living sometimes becomes difficult, and so these can be your anchors whenever your motivation is down. The last and the most important thing, make your good habits attractive. Good habits by themselves are not very attractive. If you want to go out to smoke or have a beer at 12 in the night, you will get 10, 15 friends to do that. And they will, because it sounds so cool. But if you call these people, the same people, or any of your friends to get up at 5 o'clock and go for a jog, they would consider breaking up with you. So good habits are not very attractive. So you have to consciously make efforts and also be in the right company. Make your tribe. If you are practicing somewhere, say your asana or meditation space, keep a dedicated space for it. Clean it, decorate it, get some new costumes if that motivates you. Encourage your friends to join you. When you make your tribe, trust me, that helps. Sometimes when you feel lazy, they are going to pull you up. So I guess that's how I will wrap it. So if you live consciously, you feel 100% alive. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really nice listening to you and your experiences. So we have here a few questions for you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so first question is for conscious living. Nowadays, many technical support techniques are available. So where we keep yoga in that situation?
A lot of people take help of these apps. I never think. Are you able to see me? Am I moving?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of people, a lot of my friends, in the beginning, I used to resist. I used to tell people that, you know, you don't need apps and you don't need these websites. Do it yourself. But practically, it's not possible because those people who take help of these apps, they have a lifestyle which is horrendous, which is very, very difficult or different from ours. So if we have to understand their problems from their level. These apps have been very useful. So when we say technology is harmful, these are the good effects or the usefulness of technology. If an app is helping you at any time, you have your mobile phone, you feel absolutely stressed and you just want to take 5 minutes in your office, you can use these apps. There is Sadhguru's app, there is the Brahma Kumari's app. There are awesome apps that you have for guided meditation, for 5 minutes of conscious breathing. You can use all these apps and they work wonders. So I never say that you should not use. Yes, but again, not become dependent on these apps that, you know, I don't have charge on my phone because I've seen this happening to my friends. I can't meditate because, you know, this app is not working. You take these tools to begin with, but definitely, like the entire concept, move from habit to conscious living. Am I there?
Yes, yes. So,
Yeah.
where we can keep yoga in that situation, how we can improve the yogic side of it.
Can you refine that question a little bit to make it a little more solid?
Yeah. So we know that technical support techniques are available, right? But
Hmm.
still, how we can make yoga improve in that situation.
So when I talk about, like, for example, right now, before the pandemic, I have never considered doing any online sessions, and I used to sometimes crib about it that when you actually go and do a physical session or you're physically available to your guru or your teacher, your improvement is much better. But now that we didn't have a choice, I started taking online sessions, and I can't complain. That worked wonders. Yeah, maybe not as great as the live sessions, but people could ask questions. Okay, now bringing yoga into this. Yoga means, let me only talk about asanas first, because for a layman, if you tell them yoga means meditate, or it becomes too much for them, and they somehow try to follow it. Let's start with asanas. Most of the people, when they come to me, my clients, I have this problem, and this, and this, and there's a list. If you start addressing each individually, it becomes a lot of burden. So in the beginning, unless it's a fatal one, I tell them, if your body can move, if you're not sitting on a wheelchair, just take one responsibility of waking yourself up and bringing yourself on the mat every morning without fail. That's your only job. Your job is not to get the finest posture or go to the final position or to do as good as the teacher or other people in the class. To just get yourself on the mat regularly. First, your body gets used to it, eventually, your mind does. And do not try to judge the result in the beginning, at least for say 2 to 3 weeks. If you start judging the result in the beginning, you will involve your mind much more than necessary. And again, that kind of takes you out of the practice. So just do it as habit. Like I said, use the habit as a tool in the beginning. Eventually, after 2 to 3 weeks, you will see the results. When people who had sleeplessness disorders, I did not talk to them anything about sleeplessness in the class. They just used to come to the mat, do it like a regular practice without any questions. Just come to the mat, do what is being taught. Within 2 to 3 weeks, the sleeplessness is gone. It's not that we are making them very tired so that they eventually doze off. No, their body is stretching enough, their body is exercising enough. When your body is exercising for a few seconds at least, this becomes calm. And again, asanas and yoga way of movements are much different than the other kind of movements or workouts. We also give a lot of importance to relaxation in between. When we ask them to relax, when we ask them to stop their physical movements, consciously relax their muscles and breathing, that trains them to consciously relax yourself. I told them in the class last week, like knowing how to consciously relax yourself is kind of a superpower these days. Because when we're absolutely stressed, we either want some tool, somebody to say something nice, or like I said, these apps or something to help us to relax. But wouldn't it be a superpower if you can relax yourself all by yourself? So, this is how yoga helps when you have a lifestyle like this. And I'm not saying you should not be an achiever, you should stop using your computer, but use it consciously. So use it when you need it, and when you do not need it, have the capacity to shut it down. So I guess this is how yoga can help you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So I guess Arundhati has a question for you.
Yes, yes, Dr. Arundhati. Oh, Dr. Arundhati is here.
No,
So
ma'am.
sorry, I'm not able to.
Good
Is
evening,
this
ma'am.
some other Arundhati?
Yes, I'm someone other.
Okay, sorry.
I had a question for you. It's like in the previously I've mentioned that in yogic text it's being mentioned that we eat whenever we are hungry, when there's a real hunger, not the pseudo hunger. But
We should eat.
we
Yeah.
should, yeah, yeah. That's what yogi texture suggests. But most people like can go 8 hours without eating. Some people can go even 10 hours without eating, like the real hunger when it strikes you. But if we are only eating when we are actually hungry, not the pseudo hunger, then how do we maintain the BMR in our body? Because the basic metabolic rate, the calories, basic calories, it's needed to maintain the BMR, right?
That's why I use the word conscious living. We never suggest this kind of eating pattern to people who are not into yoga, to people whose awareness are not very good. So I never suggest this to a client who's a beginner that you should only eat when you're hungry. They don't know what's real hunger. So this is not for a layman. This particular line is only for people who are absolutely aware. And like you mentioned, that how would we maintain that level? If you are absolutely aware, your body and mind has reached that level of awareness, it knows, it is very intelligent. It will ask you to eat those things. It will ask you to eat at times when the body needs it. So that's why I mentioned it is not for a layman. You cannot suggest to a client, or are you a medical practitioner?
I'm doing my BNYS from SVS
From
University.
SVSR.
Yeah.
Yes. So if a client comes to you, or if you are seeing clients or say participants in Arogya Dhama, this is not a suggestion that you can give to a layman that you should eat only when you are hungry. They don't know what it is. Unless their bar has risen from lower awareness to absolutely being aware. I haven't done it very frankly. If I tell you, I sometimes fail to understand if I'm really hungry or if I'm thinking about some delicious food or a picture of a food that I've seen. So unless your awareness is there, you should not practice this. Only when your awareness level is really high, your body and mind is intelligent enough, it will ask you to eat when it needs. Arundhati now. Yes, so I think I recently met, I don't know if I can call him a yogi. He was a person we met in Sri Aurobindo Society. He's from South Africa. I've forgotten his name. I will let you know. So he has not been eating for 10 years now. So people were like, this is some kind of an occult science, and maybe he's not healthy. He's just doing it as a stunt. And they practice at all kind of tests. They run all kind of tests in his body, and it was absolutely fine according to medical science and their prescribed definitions of what is good and bad in the body. So I guess he was only living a very very conscious life. But yeah, again, he wasn't living the kind of life we were, looking into a screen, spending 4 hours sitting on a couch. So he could practice it. So I hope I've answered the question that if your awareness level is not that great, this is not an advice for you. Only if you have reached a level of awareness, only then you can probably practice eating when you are hungry. Only when you're hungry.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Ma'am, how you
Yes.
motivated your journey in yoga and who motivated you to keep the same?
Well, my first motivation was my mother, but it was on and off. Like when it comes from the house, we all know ghar ki murgi dal barabar. So my mother was a practitioner herself, and I used to be very less important, but it was like a seed somewhere. And yoga was never on cards. Like I never decided to take it as a profession. But when I did my graduation, I was doing my graduation. I told that I don't want to practice medicine or engineering. So they, because in a Bengali family, it's all about academics, and I was good in academics. So what would they tell people that why is she not studying or what is she going to do? And I had no answer for that. But I was very sure that I don't want to do these two. So they asked me, what do you want to do? So I said, okay, fine, give me some time, let me think. So my mother told me about Bihar School of Yoga, and I was thinking it's in Bihar. And frankly, our perception, and it's actually true. How I saw Bihar, otherwise, other than Bihar School of Yoga, it was pretty dirty, not at all some place you would willingly want to go. But when I entered Bihar School of Yoga, right from that moment to those 4 months, they were life changing. They were magical. I have learned so much in those 4 months. They had made an environment, so we didn't have to do a lot of effort to, mentally, we didn't have to make a lot of effort. It was just given. This is what you have to do. This is what you have to do for these 4 months. They were very pakka on their discipline. So I guess Bihar School of Yoga, I must say, was the turning point. When I went there, I was doing my BCom, and the first semester I got second rank in 136 colleges. So I took a special permission that, can I study, travel, study, and then come back, write my examination for one semester. So they kind of unofficially, because of my good grades, they said, okay, fine, only for one semester. And I wanted to see if I could like this and take this further. So I think I would give all the credit to my mother and then eventually to Bihar School of Yoga. I'm still doing it, by the way. It's not that I don't fall out of it. I don't. I become very lazy at times. But like I mentioned once, create your tribe. So make a group of people who are all human beings. They might also fail and then again come back to track. But at least you know that they are positively motivated. So I have made that kind of a tribe around me. And when I feel lazy, when I go out of track, I use their help. And yeah, so I'm still evolving. I am like work in progress, just like all of you.
That's really nice. There's one more question, that how yoga professional can be considered as certified yoga teacher in terms of education.
That's one thing. I don't know if my answer will be liked by people. We have yoga teachers now in every house. All dadi, chachi, everybody is becoming a yoga teacher. There are so many courses online. We don't know how to standardize it. And it's not that I have the solid answer ready for it. But again, just by looking at the degree, like I'm going to become a PhD holder. I will, you all called me Dr. Mollika. I'm not doctor yet. I'm very close to it. Two of my papers got published, one more to go though. But I don't know if I can actually call myself a researcher. I still have to go a long way, but I will have a degree. So I don't think looking at the degree is the way to go about considering someone a good teacher or a bad teacher. I have seen a lot of people who have no degrees. Yes, we still need some really good organizations or people to come forward, standardize, and only then give. I have seen so many people who have learned yoga from YouTube and they have like a bunch of certificates. But if you ask them the very basics of how it works, they would not know. So I'm not criticizing them. They are doing their effort. I am just saying that we don't still have the structure ready. So I don't think uh, I can give you a solution to it. I can just say that I disagree to considering someone to be a good or a bad yoga teacher just with a certification. We are still not there. There are some organizations, like I mentioned around 100 times in my talk about Bihar School of Yoga, someone who comes out of there, they will eventually become a very good product, even if they are not aware of it. When I came out of Bihar, they mentioned in the very beginning, till the 4 months till you're here, you will not know what's changing in you. Only when you go back to the society, you will understand. And I did understand in a very vivid manner for at least 4 to 5 months. I was in another world. I never used to get irritated with my brother, no throwing chappals at each other, no conflicts in my mind, always khali. I still don't know how to get there. So yeah, I think we need such organizations rather than organizations which try to get students to tell them that they will at the end get a job. So getting a job should not be your motivation to come into this field, definitely. So that's what I think. Yeah.
Yes, that was really wonderful. So, any takeaway message or any advice for the aspiring doctors or yoga teachers?
I very strongly believe if you are into this field and you are trying to pretend to be someone you are not, like most of us do at some point or the other. When I was teaching for so many years, I wasn't really practicing it every day. And that's not a good sign for a yoga teacher or a yoga doctor, a naturopathy person who's talking about a lifestyle for people to, he's preaching about a good lifestyle but doesn't have one for himself. These are all very silly excuses that I have to do assignments, रात को पढ़ना पड़ेगा, and जगना ही पड़ता है. You all will not understand. These are excuses we just randomly give to shut up people. But deep down we know that we have all the facilities to be able to follow what we are preaching. Unless we are doing it ourselves, unless we start doing it ourselves, we should not advise people to follow any of these practices, whether it's getting up in the morning, doing some asanas. If you don't follow the lifestyle, you must not preach. Or at least take a break, check, stop, correct yourself, start the journey, get there, and then start preaching. And then the impact, you might have really good words or you might be a very good orator, but trust me, the vibrations that you have in your mind, they travel much faster than your words. So you know if you're lying, you know that you're not doing it yourself. And so you're asking the other person to follow a good lifestyle because you have read that it works. So first follow and then become a life living example for other people and then give advice. So this is my advice for anybody for any field, but especially for this holy field of yoga and naturopathy. I think we should all motivate ourselves every day. Like I said, it's a continuous process.
Yes, yes. Thank you, ma'am. It was really a great session. Thank you so much for this wonderful talk and for
Thank you
giving us
so
your
much.
precious time. We'll be looking forward to meet you again and utilize your knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, ma'am.
Namaste.